Do you read me over?
Be advised, you are coming in weak and unreadable.
Say again, Comm Tower. This is Pacho. Do you read me over?
Pacho, this is Comm Tower. I read you Lima Charlie.
Comm Tower. Request permission to launch and commence the field op. Over.
Stand by. Pacho, permission granted. I say again, permission granted.
Roger that. Launching podcast in 3, 2. You are now entering the field op with your host, Pacho Correa, Chief Warrant Officer 3, United States Marine Corps retired. Get some. Hurrah! Get some. Hurrah! What's going on, everybody? Another week is almost over. Friday night's Eve, baby Friday. Goddamn. It's almost the weekend again. Is it just me, or does it seem like this year is pretty much on friggin' rollerblades? Or maybe not so much rollerblades on an electric scooter, because that's all we tend to see nowadays. Do people even roller skate anymore? I don't even know. Hey, we got a really good show today. A little bit more stoic, a little bit more, kind of getting a little bit of, to our thinking heads, a little bit of more meditation related. But before we get started, let's get all the pleasantries out of the way. Hey, look, this show is brought to you by me. I mean, I don't get paid to do this. However, the services that I offer and how I can help is when was the last time have you done a in detail financial needs analysis for free that will give you a clear picture of where is that you're currently at financially, and where wherever you need to be or want to be, I can actually help you get there. No pressure, no commitment, just a conversation. My website is actually on the show description. Just let's book a call, get yourself on the calendar. We'll have a conversation. I'll show you what it really is, that where you could be putting your VA claims and benefits to good work as far as that money that's coming in a month. Because a lot of us, we may have a lot of stuff that you're accumulating and paying bills, and however, financially, you don't really show anything. And if you put away on your TSP, or you're getting ready to retire out of the military and you don't know how I can get myself in line, because all that stuff has been pretty much done for us or coordinated for us, you want to have all those things as you're getting out of the military, and make sure that these things like transition from single group life insurance, SGLI, onto a good life policy that's more affordable and much better for you, along with your thrift savings plan, how it can be better allocated. And now that you can control what happens to that money without having to go through the red tapes of the TSP program. If you ever find yourself in an emergency where you actually need to borrow from that money, which is yours, I can actually help you with all of that. So let's just have a conversation. If something makes sense at the end, we can further explore it. If not, hey, look, it's your decision. It is what it is. However, I know I can be of service. So let's just have a quick conversation and go from there. And also, I can also help you look at ways of how to. I will show you and teach you how to put in for your VA claims and benefits. However, I know those of you retiring, you get help from BASE as part of your transition program, which I highly encourage you that you do. Let's talk about after the service. If you didn't get the desired percentage, I can show you how to do it and get it better. Again, what I do is I show you how to fish, so to speak. And then after that, you're pretty much educated where you can keep doing it on your own. There are several veterans on here that listen to the show that I have already helped. One guy this week actually finally got his permanent and totally, he went from 90 to 100% PNT, which is great. So after he and I worked together, he did the rest of the work. I mean, he understood the mission and made it happen. Only took him about 2-3 months. So although cases may differ, at the end of the day, it just, knowledge is power, and you can keep doing it from there. So let me help you with that too, if you need help or you want some more education. All right. And last but not least, if you want to be on, I'm always looking for guest speakers or people who want to be on the show and have a conversation, please come on the show. You can shoot me a DM or write me on my Facebook, my TikTok, Instagram. You can pretty much find me all over on LinkedIn. Shoot me a DM and let's have a conversation and see when we can put you on the show. All right. And if you find yourself wanting to be a podcaster, give Brian Colburn a call. He's the man that pretty much got my foot in the door. And if you got something that you want, a message that you want to get out there, or you want to write a book, or you want some additional coaching, Brian Colburn from Sitchradio.com is the person to have that conversation. So love to set that up for you too. All right. So if you are all about protecting, basically supporting the Constitution, freedom of speech, the right to bear arms, and all the other things that pretty much I've been supporting for the last, I don't know, so pretty much I became a Marine, then stick around. Let's have listen to the show. And if not, then that's okay too. Swipe left and go and support a local podcast, the local show, or somebody that you know, like their show, and then tell them about me if that makes sense. All right. So that's pretty much it. A lot of times, so what I pretty much have a routine, despite all my injuries from post-service. You still have to maintain a routine, something that's healthy and positive to some degree. Although I do periodically, not to call them my demons or whatever the case, the things that I accumulated over the years kind of catch up with you, whether physically or mentally. I still have to push through those things when on those hard times, and I always find motivation. Most of you know that before I started doing this podcast and putting my voice out on social media among all these other platforms. I mean, like a lot of us, I struggled a lot with my PTSD, and so much so where I needed some serious help. And when I was in the Marine Corps, as I almost committed suicide, obviously I started going to intensive outpatient program, and a lot of good resources out there. Anyways, I got it in 2019 when some of those issues were pretty much coming again, because a lot of us, we tend to get so involved in our work and our careers, or we find an avenue or something to just kind of take away from the issue at hand, and we just completely submerge ourselves as a distraction. There you go. That's what I was looking for. We look to distract ourselves. I got into this habit of looking things to listen to. Now, again, most of you know, if you've been listening to the show quite a while, most of you know that I'm a huge advocate, and I love audiobooks. For many, many years now. I mean, for like a lot of years. Back in the day, there were audio tapes or audio CDs. Anyways, however, in 2019, I started also looking with YouTube. Even though YouTube has been around for a long time, I started looking into YouTube, listening to a lot of other things. Anyways, most of during my morning routine, I'll listen to something. It's usually pretty much the same thing, either David Goggins. By the way, if anybody knows David Goggins, I would love to have him on my show. So if you know him, point him in my direction, and I would love to have a conversation with the guy. I'm a huge fan. Okay, all right, enough kissing his ass. So whether I'm listening to him or someone else, but late, I found this about, I don't know, 1-2 months ago, and most of you know that also my wife is Japanese, and I think pretty much in a previous life I was a samurai. I mean, I firmly believe that. Anyways, and I found this video that I listened to, and it was from Miyamoto Musashi, basically, and he wrote this thing called Dokkōdō. And he actually wrote this thing a week before he died in 1645. So, and it contains some precepts or some steps for single-minded discipline and clarity. I mean, this dude fought in like 40 plus duels in his lifetime. I mean, he survived all of them. He was a poet, he was a writer, he was not a prophet, but just a wallet. He was like the basically the Sophocles of his time, just one of those guys that pretty much during the Edo period, a lot of people even to this day, his stuff is very popular. So we're going to cover 10 of them, of the tenets that hit hardest and personal for leadership, for not only for leadership development, but just on the personal side. And I mean, it's a 30-minute video. Excuse me. Maybe I'll include it with the show description. It's on YouTube. I don't know why I'm promoting somebody else's video, but I think it's pretty much something that if you have that warrior mentality, or maybe you're a leader or just a parent, whatever, I think all these things apply. So it gives it the audio gives a little bit of a back brief on him and whatever, but it just, to me, it just makes so much sense. It just kind of gets me in the zone for my day. And one of the things, accept everything just the way it is. So basically, no bullshit, no denial. Just because a lot of us, we think to accept, or we have this perception, we put this foil over our heads, where in just sometimes, and we even lie to ourselves of our current situation. So as leaders, as veterans, we assess we need to assess the situation honestly, and that's usually the first step to solving no wishful thinking. So basically, where is it you currently at in life? Do you like what it is? Do you like your job? Do you like your career? Do you like your life? A lot of us, we think that we don't have any more purpose. Initially, I used to when I first got out, and I was obviously going through doing my therapies and going through all these groups, so to speak, combat warriors, and shout out to the folks at Warrior Built. In that group, we used to say, well, we no longer have a purpose because, obviously we're warrior mentality. So, and I've said this before, when they took my weapons card associating myself, having a weapon for obvious reasons. I mean, I was going to kill myself. I mean, let's face it. But it's not that we don't have a purpose. It's just that some of us, we just kind of stop doing shit. We get out of the service, and whether we're 100% or whatever, we just kind of sit on our asses, collect VA claim, VA benefits, and we don't get into something really productive and to get out of our heads. Staying busy, staying engaged, exercising, doing something. Yes, and believe me, you're talking to somebody who's got multiple injuries. I mean, it's like if I could put some, WD-40 on my joints every morning before I get going, I get it. However, we need to be able to push through that. Another thing that, because being able to do that, just kind of, and assessing our life where we're at, because everything has a solution. 100% believe it. Everything has whether you're not happy with your current job, you can do something about that. You just got to take a leap of faith and do whatever it is, that thing that you want to do. Write a book, open your own business. You can open it on the side. Everything has, and if you want more coaching on the side, you please feel free to DM me. The other thing is that pleasure in the mission. Okay. The other thing that says, do not seek pleasure for its own sake. And you can, have discipline, discipline instead of dopamine. A lot of us, again, and I said, a lot of times I'm saying this to myself. I think my wife will listen to the show right now. She's probably like, I told you about this. A lot of us, get caught up on social media. Because it's a lot easier brain candy instead of doing other things. Maybe listen to an audiobook, maybe listening to my show, maybe working on your VA claims and benefits, maybe growing your business, maybe doing something. Okay, right? And I get it. That is so much easier than doing the work. that, and it goes back to number one, where we just kind of like, oh, I'm comfortable where I'm at. My job sucks, but I got a paycheck, I got benefits, whatever. So we get that. So the mission is to stay focused, whether in service or as a civilian, without chasing comfort or at the cost of going back to that word purpose. So at the cost of what is the mission at hand, or whether you want to get from point A to point B, I want to be financially better or whatever. It's always better to have putting what's in front of you, which would be the easiest thing, and focusing on the big ticket item, which at the end. So, and here's another one thing that we talk about in this day and age, where a lot of people is partial feelings, or my feelings fail you. Don't depend on partial feelings, or don't let your feelings dictate how your day is going to be. One thing that I used to do in a previous life, and at a previous job, is just in the mornings I would just be so consumed that I would let the fact that I was the job was toxic, or the environment was toxic. The job was great. For the most part, the majority of people were cool. It's just I worked for a really bad individual. I mean, this person was just, in my book, was just borderline evil and Dexter psychotic. I mean, that's just me. Nonetheless, I would let those feelings get in my head, and I would just, I don't want to get up. I don't want to, I don't want to do this. And a lot of, when was the last time where you're like, man, I'm not, if you start, I think I'm feeling this way and blah, blah, blah. Yes. I used to say too, is that, well, you can't argue with feelings. No, yeah, but now it's different. I mean, yes, you can. You can argue with your feelings, because just get the fuck up, period. Get out of your feelings, get out of your head, and make it happen. And also, don't make decisions on gut alone. Yes, that is, although that may be part of it. Also trust yourself, have clarity, and not just instinct to make a good decision. And you can apply this with life. I mean, there's truth to that thing where, hey, don't make an important decision when you're sad or super happy. You got to see it with clarity, so that way you confirm before acting. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of us sometimes we just say, woo, we're super elated, or we just made a decision. I mean, case in point, talk to a lot of Marines and sailors who've gotten a tattoo because they were drunk, and how many of them regret it. You know what I'm saying? So the other thing that we want to talk about is the ego, low ego, wide vision. So think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world, because life is gonna check you. Life is gonna check us, and when we think that we're, I've arrived, I've made it, life is gonna say, no, bro, you ain't there yet, or you got to keep going. So humility opens a lot of learning, but and our arrogance blinds us. We're, again, a lot of times I'm not just saying it to you, but I'm also saying it to me, because I mean, I've lived it. I've done it. And sometimes it's human to just feel, oh man, I got this promotion, I got this other thing, I'm here, I can throttle, move off the throttle a little bit. I've earned my quota, so I'm on target this week. I'm reading an amazing book today, or by Brian Richardson, I believe is the guy's name. It's called Go for No. I highly recommend. Short book, great books. But it's true. A lot of us, when we're almost there at that quota, because I used to do this in recruiting duty too, is as I was hitting my numbers or whatever it is that we set for ourselves, we kind of throttle back. Oh man, I got this by the end of the week. I'm going to be at that, and because of that, it bites us in the ass. So, make sure that stay open, always in situational awareness. Be aware beyond yourself, where instead of focusing on the carrot at hand, is turn it around. It's like, and just either keep that throttle on there, or just focus on going for no, instead of tracking the many yeses or I'm on quota. Is, hey, you know what? I'm going to get these many no's these weeks. or you know what, I'm not there yet. Having that PFC mentality all the time, or that, as they call it, having that toddler mentality where you're constantly learning and just basically not giving yourself buy into that title or whatever else, because usually that's what gets us in trouble. The other thing is that not only that, but desire drowns our discipline. So we need to be detached from our desires. Uh, from again, it kind of goes back a little bit to being attached, or setting ourselves on that carrot. And when we get there, it's like we get comfortable, right? So don't be attached to anything. One thing that I will say that helped us a lot, and I'm not saying you should go to this extreme, is that when my wife and I, we went to work on an overseas contract, we pretty much sold and got rid of everything. I mean, when I say everything, the only thing that we kept was pretty much our vehicles. That was it. I mean, but we sold. I had just sold my house from going through a divorce. I mean, but we sold everything, furniture, everything. I mean, we literally left with our clothes in our bag and some things that we left at a friend's locker. But it's pretty liberating when you experience that, because it's like, oh wow, case in point. I mean, should we ever have to sell this house or walk away from this? I mean, it's a lot easier now, because a lot of us, we and you've heard me say this before, we accumulate a lot of shit, and that ends up anchoring us down, because I have the garage and I have all these things, the photos, the pictures. Look, at the end of the day, when you die, your kids are going to throw away all that shit. I'm telling you. Why? Because I've seen already friends who've passed on, or for whatever reason, and that's what the family ends up doing. They're just either donating their shit, or selling whatever they can sell, making money out of that, whatever. But 9 times out of 10, they're not going to keep your uniforms. They're not going. So don't attach yourself from things, and then purge yourself, purge your goals too. But don't lose yourself when you fail, or when you fail or succeed. So in other words, and the other thing is that we get attached to, oh man, I didn't make it to this goal. I'm not where I am today. Hopefully he's listening. We've been having this conversation the last couple of weeks. We get attached to other things too, like, oh, I'm this age. All my friends are doing this, and they've made these milestones, and blah blah, and I'm not there. So we got to let go, because our paths are also detaching ourselves. And what's up, Angel? Detaching ourselves from, even our goals and whatever it is that we have in life, because sometimes our path to success is not that straight line like this. It could be something like that. Yep, I just did that. Anyways, so our path looks a lot different. So it doesn't mean that we're not going to get there. As long as you have that target point, you're making one step. If you keep on swimming, like Dory would say, you're still going to make it there, right? So, and then live without regrets. You see how a lot of these things kind of overlap. Never be jealous. I'm sorry. Don't regret what you have done. Own your past and own your mistakes. Learn, but don't linger. Again, and this kind of goes along with the previous one. And God, man, I hope he's really watching this part. But a lot of us, that's when we focus on those goals, and because we're not there yet, I used to really beat myself up for the mistakes that I've made. As we all, those of us who are parents, for some of the mistakes I made as parents, or for being gone on deployments, and basically just kind of like whipping myself, and all these other things. That, hey, look, nothing is perfect. Own your mistakes, be accountable, and just learn from them, and keep moving forward, right? So, and the same thing goes after you transition out of the military. Just reflect on those things, but don't rinse cycle your brain, because that's what excuse me, that's where we end up going into that never-ending rabbit hole, and that's where we get into trouble. So jealousy equals weakness, and that focus on your own path. Don't highlight somebody else's. Don't compare yourself to somebody else's. your path is your path. So own that shit. Uh, whether and again, while technology is great, a lot of us, we get sucked into one of these things, into social media, and you're seeing the life that you could be living, and instead of focusing on making it happen, you're just there kind of stewing like, man, they're doing this, they're doing that. And again, that's a slippery slope, because and I know those of us who, I don't share a lot of shit anymore on Facebook or social media as much anymore. I used to do it a lot, and my wife, I finally saw a line, and I understand, now, a couple of years later, why she would say that, and even to the point where she said, "Hey, don't you want to take a picture of this? This would be something cool to share with you." And I was like, "Nah, it's in here now." So, because a lot of, again, when we share things like a photo and, oh, we look super happy and whatever, is that really a reality? I can tell you that 9 times out of 10, it really isn't, because we don't know what those people, what demons they're battling, what they're going through in their personal life. It's not really reality. It's just something that we're allowed to see, but yet we compare ourselves to it. So, and from what I've seen a lot, and from the things that I've read, even couples that share a lot of their shit online, like, oh, look at us, it's those, most of the time, those are the people that are having issues or that struggle with their relationship. Oh, I love you. This, or maybe not. I don't know. However, studies have shown, and the things that I've read, that points to what I previously said. Okay. So again, all jealousy and comparison does is just destroys your own life. So own your shit. And if you're currently in a bad situation, you can make it happen. You can make a change. I 100% believe it. And then you need to accept your loss and keep moving. So never let yourself be saddened by separation, because you lost this, you didn't get that deal, you're not there yet, whatever. Pain is real, but permanent sadness is optional. So you were in a crappy relationship and they broke up with you. You didn't want to break up with them. Now you're tracking them on social media. You're stalking their podcast. You're so focused, instead of just moving on with your life and being happy. That's, you're anchoring yourself to other things. So, and that's just with anything. We even do this in our culture, in Western culture, and even, and I said, because in Colombia too, and we there's a lot of cultures out there that see death in a much different fashion, where it's kind of like, hey, that person has moved on and they're happy. Yes, they miss the physical individual, the self of that individual. However, their essence, their spirit is still out there. They've gone to, so it's a happy moment. So that attachment, because of that loss and with everything else, that also is a choice. And we anchor ourselves. So we can go so deep into this, into this one right here, because at the end of the day is being able to let go, release, and kind of going to on the attachment piece. There was so much earlier, where being able to let go of a lot of things and just moving on and to go live outside of the US. It was kind of invigorating. So basically, you can replace a lot of things. The only thing you can't replace is obviously life. However, there's even things beyond that. I firmly believe that. But you always have to stay engaged, stay mission ready, and mentally, and just be here in the present and live the moment for whatever it is. Complaining is, well. One of the things that on this thing talks about is complaining, right? resentment and complaint are appropriate, but neither for oneself nor for others. So bitching and whining is not going to win any wars. Or even respect. And I say that because as I became independent doing this line of work now, initially, obviously, I was getting my business, and I would compare, man, what are these people doing that they're having so much success? And moving in their business or whatever else. I would compare, and I would just kind of bitch, oh, well, I didn't do this, or they didn't do that for me, and blah blah blah. Look, you got to own the situation, and again, going back to that is not your path. So shut your mouth, put your complaining, and then just keep moving forward. And because when the shit hits the fan, you need to execute. You don't make excuses, right? So you just got to keep doing the do and doing all those things to get you wherever it is that you need to be. It's what we need to do in order for us to get ahead in life, and just making that little dash count. Which the last tenet that I was going to talk about is honor over life. What do I mean? Well, you may have as we move on and we keep moving on. And by the way, this dude, Musashi, this guy wrote, things and kept his routine, whatever, up until the day that he died, right? So the one thing that, somebody told me a long time ago, there's three things that make a man, and and yes, I'm including ladies, just man as a whole. It's your word, your honor, and your balls. You lose any one of them, I guess you could say your tits. I don't know. But in the essence as a whole is, if you lose any one of them, you stop being a man. If you lose your word, if you lie and you go back on your word, people are not going to trust you. If you have no honor, again, people are not going to trust you. So it's kind of like, living your life to the fullest, being honorable, and being that individual that's always solid and dependable up until the very end. Because at the end of the day, while we live our lives and we just kind of go through the motions, if you were to pass on today, what would they say about you tomorrow? For real. Yeah, to some degree, people are gonna say, "Oh man, yeah, he was a great," because everybody says some nice thing. Oh yeah, they were great, blah blah, whatever. However, once the all that dies down and the dust settles, now they're gonna say, "Man, that guy was a prick." Oh man, this guy, blah blah. I mean, because I know, because it's happened. I mean, I know some people that, man, it's like, yeah, it's too bad they passed away or whatever, but man, were they difficult, were they this, were they that? So you want to die, live and lead with integrity. And if you're going down, go down with your dignity intact. I mean, that's all we can do, and make that little dash in between count. So I wanted to share this with you, and I'll put the link on the show. I mean, on the video, you guys can check it out. I think it's an awesome audio, among many other things. But just to recap, we just covered the 10 tenets. Yeah, you were pretty cool, right? So that's right. I mean, that's a pretty good way to live, So what I challenge you is pick one of them, apply it to yourself this week, live it. Don't just like it, because I mean, a lot of us do that. Try to hold yourself accountable to that tenet, and then just put it right there on the show comments, okay? So, but we'll keep I'll keep sharing these things with you, and I think this is pretty much a good place to index our show. So, with that being said, everybody, hey, look, I know I didn't talk about it last week, but if you've been struggling and going down that rabbit hole, like I talked about earlier, and you need to be kind of be yelled out of that hole, or maybe you need a little bit of a knife hand, or just maybe some reality check, hit me up. But taking your life, doing something stupid that obviously those of us who stay behind and asking the question as to why is, it would really be a shame that we would have to, talk about you during your eulogy when we could have had this conversation maybe over a beer or something. So with that being, so make sure you stay in touch. Call TRICARE, Suicide Hotline, VA, military one source. Reach out to my show. Reach out to me. I mean, you can find me pretty much anywhere. So, but just reach out. All right. With that being said, everybody, I think this is a pretty good place to index. Ice Tomas, Daisuki. All right. See you next week, everybody. Ara, get some.